This fabric I bought about 20 years ago, and I bought as classic as possible. It's just stars on a red field. And I pull it up and slide the gift box into a spot, so that's even. Then I fold it like paper on the edge to hide the ragged edge. I slide the ribbon underneath, and then I measure it upwards so that it will be the same length on either side. Tuck it down just like paper, fold it into a triangle. If there's a little extra, just like paper, you can fold it under. Instead of cutting it off, you fold it under. And I pull it up, pull it across, hold it in place. Do the same on the other side. Fold it into triangles, and then fold it up, pulling it taut. Then I twist and flip. So the next thing is I just tie the bow. Now the ribbon I'm using has wire on either side, and it makes for my bows to be much better looking. I also like to use satin ribbon. Both of these types of ribbons last a long time. And I just tie a regular bow, 2 loops, twist and pull, and then 2 loops. I can make that a little smaller. 2 loops, twist, and tie. And voila, a nice, attractive bow. And it looks really elegant. And I can tuck this under. This would look a little better. And then I just put it under the tree like that. So it looks very pretty. It lasts a long time. I don't wash my cloth. I have found over the years that just folding it, and especially if you pick it up right away, fold it and put it into a box, it works out really nicely. I gather up all the ribbon and I loosely cluster that into a big Tupperware, and it just stays and stays and stays. So here is another thing that I use. I have over the years discovered that you can use dish towels, and if you're sending a gift to another person, you find that that becomes an additional gift. So anyway, just like that, I fold it, bring it to the edge, fold it over, push it down, get my ribbon, and I try to center it a little bit in the beginning. Put the shiny side down, pick it up, make sure it is, it is even. It's a little bit short on this side. There it goes. Okay, and again I fold it into triangles, pull it up, pull it across, hold it in place. Triangles, I've gotten very good over the years holding that with one hand. Give it a twist and flip. And then in this case I need to center it. It's gotten a little off center. And then I just tie it into a normal bow. Two loops, cross and tie. And I'm not the best bow tire in the world, so I do the simplest as possible. And that looks pretty nice also. Another thing I've learned over the years is to use napkins. So this is an example of a napkin, and you can usually get, napkins relatively inexpensively in different places. So you can see here I've taken 2 CDs, and this is the napkin. It's colored only on one side. And what I do is I put in and I flip it over a couple of times, and then whatever's left over, well, in this case I can just leave it flat. Again, I do well, this time I'm going to leave, I'm actually not going to untie it. So you take it, make sure it's centered, put your ribbon underneath it and take the turn it into triangles. And it's sometimes with these smaller gifts I just leave the triangle long rather than tucking it. And then I also twist it over like so. Take the ribbon, and this time I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ribbon and stick it under this way, hold it in place because it's nice and thick, and give it a nice tie. And this is one of those types of ribbons I try to recycle ribbons by getting them from other people. I just save them and put them in the box. And this one has a nice stiffness to it, although it's not wired on either side. And this looks pretty nice. Just straighten it out, give it a little tug, and then it looks very pretty. There was a type of cloth that I found recently. You don't always see it, but it's called a flour sack cloth, and it's fairly large. And it's, you know, it doesn't have the ragged edges, which helps a little, but not so much. You can just fold it like paper, so it doesn't really matter. It's a good size for a game. And so in this case, what happens is that if this size is very close to the size of the cloth, it's actually easier to have a bigger piece of cloth. But in this case, it's exactly the right size. So what I do is I actually use a little bit of tape. And that tape, I have found over the years, does not discolor the cloth. And since I'm not washing it, you know, there's no chance of having tape on it when you're putting it in the wash. Tell you what, I do the same thing. I just kind of tape it together. And I find taking the tape off is very easy. So because this is kind of long and the width of the ribbon would not allow it to be hold it in place, I have to use a little bit of tape here also. So I'm doing that. And then what I do is just the same thing. I'm folding it into triangles and then lifting it up and taping it in place. Now in this case, I have two different ribbons that I'm going to work with, and to make my bow, I'm again using the type that has the wire on the side, and all I'm going to do here is just tie a knot. Actually, I'll go with this. And then I take another ribbon, which is a little bit longer, and I'm going to turn that into my bow. Again, measuring so that it's the same length, tying it, using my bow's 2 loops, give it a twist and pull through. It's tight, and I'll do that again. And as you can see, it comes out pretty nice. And I can just wrinkle these things into something attractive, tuck it under, and then I just spread out the bow so that it looks a little fuller, making it, just stuff that underneath, and it looks very nice. So there you go. That is a larger piece. Now over the years, as my child has grown up, I've been doing this for 20 years, and of course the gifts get smaller as they get older. And so I've taken, in the beginning I would get these very large pieces. One that I have is 8 feet long by about 4 feet wide, and this one here is probably 6. Right? And I never cut them down. That was my dog. I never cut them down. I just fold them into place. So as you can see, this is fairly large. So I just use it on these smaller gifts, fold it in 4s. So I don't cut to size. By cutting to size, I lose the flexibility. Now, one thing that I've learned over the years, I didn't know this when I began, I just liked the feel and the look and the texture, and I knew that I wasn't going to be using a lot of paper, and I didn't want all the garbage after, all the unwrapping. So what I found out that is that during the season between Thanksgiving and New Year's, Americans use 1 million or create 1 million more tons of garbage per week. And if we each person were to just wrap 3 gifts with cloth, they would save 45,000, I guess it's 45,000 football fields worth of paper. And the same goes for ribbon. If every person just used, every American that is, used 2 feet of reusable ribbon, they would save 38,000 miles worth of ribbon, and that's enough to tie a bow around the planet. So I hope this is the way I'm making a difference, and I hope to share this with you and hope that maybe you will try this too. And it's very pretty, it's very elegant, and I love it, and I've had it for years, and it is a big savings in time and effort and money, and of course all of the good things for the planet. Thank you.